Hello everyone, I am thirteene, and after playing Blue-Green Turbo Turns last night, I really wanted to play with Growth Spiral, and I figured the best way to do that would be with Explorer also in the deck, and what lends itself to that? Well, the old Tooth and Nail strategy. So we're going to go a little bit old school here, take on another Fringe deck from, wow, I think this was last popular around like 2015-16. And what this deck is doing is basically just trying to do big green things. I'm actually a little inclined to call this a cube deck. It looked like a lot of people had drafted some fun cards together in a cube and was like, let's try to make this work in Modern. Mono green is one of my favorite cube drafts, despite the fact I wouldn't typically consider myself a green player. But yeah, so this is going to be the deck. So to start off, we are running 8 copies of Explore. So Explore is draw a card, you may play an additional land this turn. Growth Spiral says draw a card, you may put a land from your hand into the battlefield. Growth Spiral is also an instant, but basically just wanted 8 of these effects. It is worth noting in Modern it's very possible that if you're on the draw and you tap out for Explore on turn 2, you're going to die. That's just part of the format, so this deck's going to be a little bit on the slow side, probably going to be unfavorable versus combo. But our combo is essentially a 1 to 3 card combo. So Tooth and Nail is 7 mana, and you can choose one. Search your library for 2 creature cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Or put 2 creatures from your hand into the battlefield, or if you decide to pay 9 instead of 7, you get to do both. So what's going to happen is we're going to pay 9 because we're a big green rampy deck. And we're going to go get Emrakul and God Xenagos, not the Planeswalker. And Emrakul's going to enter the battlefield. We're going to move to combat. And Xenagos is going to target Emrakul, giving it +15/+15 in haste until end of turn. Then Emrakul is going to swing in for 30 Annihilator 6, and that's basically just game over. So that's our pseudo combo. It's basically just a big green spell and a way to win the game. I'll turn it. And then to back it up, again, this is basically a cube deck. We have Primal Command. It's modal. You can choose 2. Target player gains 7 life. Put target non-creature permanent on top of its owner's library. Target player shuffles their graveyard into their library. Or tutor for a creature and put it into your hand. So if we end up just getting a lot of mana, Primal Command is a bad version of Tooth and Nail. Primal Command also time walks our opponent. If they tap out for something like a Jace, then we just Primal Command, put it back on top. They got a Brainstorm, but we're basically time walking them. Then we have Courser. Courser lets us play lands off the top of our deck. This is a little bit of a non-bo with Explorer, so we're only running 2 copies. But yeah, that's basically our cube deck here. So we are running a couple of fun ofs. I have a Tetyova in here just to gain some life, play some lands. We have both Garruk and Nissa Worldwaker to untap lands. We have Big Thrag Daddy just as a threat, way to gain life, stay in the game, get a chump blocker. And I've really been liking Nissa Steward of Elements. She's been pretty good for me. She's enabled a lot of what I've been trying to do. She works really well with Courser. She also works alright with the Explorer cards. Then we just have a generic Walking Ballista. We're going to have a lot of mana. It's a way to get attrition, something to tutor for with Primal Command. And then 25 lands. So we're going up on the land count. We are a green deck, which means we're going to be needing to make our land drops every turn. We're also going to be drawing additional cards and playing additional lands. I'm not really sure where the sweet spot for this deck is. The traditional lists are running 22, but we also have Explorer, so we'll see what we can do here. And looks like I need to modify this a little bit. Bigger, bigger, bigger. Alright, then for our hand, we have an Arbor Elf, a Simic Growth Chamber, so when this enters, we actually have to return a land we control to our hand. Also a little bit of a non-bo with the Arbor Elf, just because this isn't actually a forest. Voyaging Satyr costs 2 though, and it's just significantly slower. Here we can start off on a forest, we can go get our blue source. I'm fine with a lot of this. Need to get rid of our upkeep stop as we are not playing turns. And we're immediately up against Hardened Scales Affinity. Alright, so I think sequencing here is going to be Arbor Elf, then we'll go get a Breeding Pool and bounce the forest with the Growth Spiral. How much mana do we actually have next turn? So we're going to play our land for turn. We'll be able to put a land into play, which means we just end up having 4 mana. Nissa could be a consideration depending on what our opponent runs out. This is probably going to be a Walking Ballista to kill our Arbor Elf because it can mean a lot of mana. If we have a Utopia Sprawl, it represents 4 mana for next turn. Yep, they also get to keep their Walking Ballista, so that makes sense. Alright, so seeing as we actually just drew the Breeding Pool, I think I'm going to drop it here. We do have 1 Stomping Ground to get a red source, so we can hardcast Xenagos if we need to. So we can take the Shock, we're going to Growth Spiral. Does that change things? I think I'd prefer to run Arbor Elf out here. So I think the Force is just going to go in. I'd really like to hit the Simic Growth Chamber, but this might actually tell our opponent that they need to kill the Arbor Elf here. If they cash in their Walking Ballista this early, that's just awesome for us. Alright, and they got the Graftland. So when a creature enters, they can move a 1/1 counter from the Graftland onto the creature. Hardened Scales will make it 2 counters. So we'll see if they have a follow-up Walking Ballista. Alright, so what do we actually want to pose to our opponent here? So if we block, that means that they get 1 damage in, and they know they need to kill the Arbor Elf, so they'll probably cash in Walking Ballista. We can just block here, and I don't believe they have any instant waste to put another counter on it. The amount of time that we've spent thinking they're probably going to cash in anyway, so I'm just going to prevent the 1 damage to us and block with Arbor Elf. We'll probably be running Nissa out next turn anyway, so we have our play. And opponent looks like they're on a little bit of a slower hand. Alright, and they found an Arcbound Ravager. Is this a worker? Alright. That's actually good for us. That means Nissa will survive if we just run her out with 1 loyalty and +2 her. Alright, so Nissa can come down. She'll have 1 counter on her. She can pseudo ramp us if we 0, but I really want to try to scry into a little bit more action here. So let's see what we've got on top. I'm fully on board for Garruk Garruk because we will be able to run out our bounce land here. So this is going to come down. It taps for 2. But we have to return a land, so we're going to return the Forest to hand. Next turn, we can untap this with Garruk to get 2 mana as opposed to 1. And it's kind of putting it on opponent that they're going to have to answer this Nissa. She's just getting us a little bit more value than what they have over here. I don't believe they'll actually cash an Arcbound Ravager to kill her, but if they have a Walking Ballista, it's essentially going to force the issue to make them run it out. Yeah, they're looking for an answer. They know that this is going to go downhill for them pretty quickly. So what their deck is trying to do is just take incremental advantage off of Hardened Scales. If 1 or more 1/1 counters would be placed on a creature, it gets an additional 1. Then they have a bunch of cards like Walking Ballista that come out with a certain number, can get more numbers. They end up running this land so they can move a 1/1 counter across and it becomes 2. They have Arcbound Worker here that's basically 1 mana for a 1/1, but it enters with a single 1/1 counter on it, so it comes in as a 2/2. If they would have grafted here, that would be a 4/4. And then eventually they're going to get a card like Arcbound Ravager where they can sacrifice any number of artifacts that they control to make them massive. And then hopefully going to be swinging out for a lot of damage or moving all the counters over to the Walking Ballista so that they can ping things. The opponent's going to have to be on Arcbound Ravager here, and I'll be a little... Okay, there's a Hanger Backwalker. And they decide to up it. So they're going to be getting a good number of counters on their Hanger Backwalker here. And they are respecting Nissa. They know that she's actually going to be a threat to them. We knew about this Garrett Garuk. I can make a 3/3 to block with here. So let's say I make my land drop. I have 4 mana. I can untap 2. I'd still have 4 mana. Look at the top card. If it's a land or creature with converted mana costs less than or equal to the counters, you may put it onto the battlefield. If we hit a land here, I actually get Primal Command, so I think I'm going to zero Nissa. She's basically being represented as dead anyway. Okay, I would love to put Simic Growth onto the battlefield. I'm going to float a mana so that when it enters I can return the tap land. Then that's 4 mana. Out comes Garuk. Then I'm a little inclined to create a beast here and figure out what they actually want to tax. Unfortunately, Arcbound Ravager is going to get massive with this Hanger Backwalker. I think I just talked myself into Primal Command. Okay, I want to untap my 2 double lands. Then 5 mana, I want to put target non-creature on top of its owner's library and search for a creature. So I'll put Hardened Scales on top. And then we're probably going to go get... We have 6 mana, assuming they kill Garuk. Tityova's probably our best card advantage. Arcbound Ravager can sacrifice the Hanger Backwalker for 6/1/1s. And with Hanger Backwalker out, or with Arcbound Ravager out, that's going to be 12 counters, move 12 counters to Ravager. Okay, so we're not dead yet, but it's very close. So I'm assuming we just want Titjova to try to get some card advantage here and force them to attack our Planeswalkers for a turn. She might actually just be better than Thragtusk in this version of the deck. But this will be the Arcbound Ravager. They might be trying to figure out if it's worth growing the Hanger Backwalker here. It's probably better just get rid of our Planeswalkers, but we're going to have a lot of cards coming in. Oh, they just went for another Hanger Backwalker. Okay, so I think we have 2 turns then? Both of our Planeswalkers are going down, but we should be able to draw 2 cards here, hopefully explore and get a couple of more draws. Yep. Sorry, Planeswalkers, you did what you were supposed to, though. I guess Groot could have waited a turn and survived, but... And there's the Tooth and Nail. So we're at 7 mana. if we make our land drop for the turn, which means we need 2 more. And we should have lethal. Alright, well there's Xenagos, so Tooth and Nail's looking a little bit better. And alright, well we can always just Tooth and Nail Xenagos in. That's not great, but it's somewhere to go to. So if they grow the bigger Hangerback Walker, sacrifice it to Walking Ballista, move the counters over, we're probably on chump block duty. Alright, so unfortunately we're going to have to do the math here. So they sacrifice the Arcbound Worker, they can get 4 counters. They sacrifice the Arcbound Ravager, they get 6 counters. Well, I guess the 6 counters would... 2 counters would go there, 4 would go there, so that's 8 counters. They sacrifice that. They get 2 more counters and 8 flyers at 16 damage. I think we're just dead. But we're going to make it so that they have to actually sacrifice one of the Hangerback Walkers we block, so Tetsuya will survive if they don't have lethal. And then I'm just going to F6. We don't have any interaction, and they're going to start doing shenanigans over there. I haven't piloted this deck. I do have an idea of how the math goes down, but we'll just see if they've got it. That may have been missequencing. I think he wanted the modular trigger off this Arcbound Worker. Yep, so there goes that Hangerback Walker. We're going to get a couple of artifacts here. Sacking the artifacts to grow the Ravager. So it's currently 15, 17. That should be 2 more. So they do have lethal. They just need to commit to a creature. I turned off auto yield so that if they are looking for us to be F6, they might be a little more hesitant to go all in on this worker. It's probably not going to matter, but you gotta take your outs if you think you might be scaring your opponent out of it. And then Load Ready Run has a podcast called Tap Tap Concede. And that's what we're going to do. Alright, so our sideboard hate for this matchup. Nature's Claim, fantastic. As far as anything else, I don't know if we want to water down our game plan that hard. Tireless Trackers can grind, but they're better for the control matchups. Pulse of Marasa is just another life gain outlet. We only have Courser and Thragtusk in our main board. Thragtusk isn't going to do a whole lot on the ground. As you saw, it kind of just sturtles. We needed an additional turn. There might have been an argument to go get Walking Ballista. We'd have Walking Ballista for 3 and it'd make the Arcbound Ravager math a little bit more complicated. They still had it. We just would have had a little bit more interaction. As far as cuts here, Primal Command doesn't hit a creature. Thragtusk doesn't interact with the current board. And I think that's where we're at. We were just a little bit too slow there. Not only did we not have Tooth and Nail ready to go for the following turn, but we would have needed 2 more mana to entwine it. Like, just a wee bit behind. Opponent did get the nut draw, though, with the Hangerback not the Hangerback, the Walking Ballista and the Hardened Scales on the play, they made it so that we just couldn't untap any of our lands to get a quicker start. And this looks good enough. We have some ramp, we have bounce land. I don't like seeing two Tooth and Nails here, but we can always just cast it on for 7 mana and then cast it again for 7 mana. Just take it a wee bit slower. And I want a basic here, help preserve my life total a little bit and make it easier to bounce something with a Simic Growth Chamber. And they found their Walking Ballista. Alright, so we are going to untap, Growth Spiral, Simic Growth Chamber can come in, Island's coming back. On the plus side, they didn't lead on Hardened Scales, which means that they're not going to be able to attack our mana base super hard here. We're currently representing 3-5 mana, 6. So we're actually a turn off of casting Tooth and Nail. Alright, if this is Hardened Scales into Hangerback Walker, I'm going to be super sad. I guess they couldn't. They don't have Metalcraft yet. This will turn on Metalcraft, though. Until they at least decide to cash it in. Opponent's tanking on if they want to take this line. They went on Mimic first? Interesting. Oh, then they can run stuff out for free. And another Tooth and Nail. Alright, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Unfortunately, this is all we can do. We know they have the Walking Ballista, which means it's coming down for 3 counters next turn. Both Arbor Elves are going to die. That might be incentive just to attack here. They won't block, though. Like, 2 damage isn't going to matter when our combo is going to hit them for 30. Of note, they can actually sacrifice the Hangerback Walker to the Emrakul Annihilator trigger, and it doesn't have trample, so this is just feeling like a horrible matchup. Wow, and then there's the Hardened Scales, so then if they just play a Hangerback for 2 now, since they've already made their land drop, it's going to come in with 3 counters. Wait, they put it in for free? They're not going to cash in, though. Alright, well, that's a thing. And they cash it in. Alright, so we're down to 2 mana. That's a beating. This matchup is feeling abysmal. They have repeatable mana dork removal. They can shut off our bounce lands. They have infinite blockers for Emrakul. Well, if we do see a Primal Command, we can always put that on top of their deck, but I'm guessing Nature's Claim is our best draw here, and that only put us back to 4 mana after tapping it. I guess 5 if we make our land drop. And the worst part is if they see an Arcbound Ravager, we're just dead. They'll sack the Hangerback Walker and all the Thopters, move it all over to the Ink Moth. They found a second Dampening Sphere. Funny enough, if they run that out, that hurts them way more than it hurts us. They're also representing something with this land, otherwise they'd get in for the 1 infect. Alright, they did run it out. Well, there's a Nature's Claim, so we can at least interact with our opponent if they go to do something stupid. Typically, their lists run Welding Jar. Alright, and big Hangerback Walker. So we're currently looking at 5 damage, virtual 9. Fortunately, I think we have to cash this in now. Because that means that we're not dead next turn off the attacks. Yep, and Arbor Elf won't cut it. We have 4, 5, 6. So if we top deck a land, we can Tooth and Nail, but that only put cards in our hand. Yeah, this is over. Very much the nut draw for our opponent, though. Both games had the hardened scales with the walking back, Hangerback. Oh my gosh, walking ballista. So they're able to just pick off anything that was potentially a problem to them. Maybe could have mulliganed to a better hand. Having 2 Tooth and Nails in their opening hand isn't great, but we had the bounce lands, and they just happen to have the Dampening Spheres. That feels like horrible tech to bring in against us. They did see a bounce land, but we're only running the 4. Just committed to them super hard. I guess I should have had that in the back of my mind as a potential play, but... Alright, on to a new game. So... Wooded Foothills into Explore can drop Nykthos. We'll end up having a turn 3 Garruk on the draw. We can untap and have 3 mana available. I think we want to look for Mana Dorks. That's not great, but it's better. Alright, and we're playing against Hollow One. And they took our Arbor Elf. Lame. They did take our Emrakul, though, and they're on double Hollow One. Tonight might just be playing against the nut draws. Opponent's been on the Nutter Butters for both matches so far. So Primal Command of note says non-creature. We can take a land, but that's all we can really take. And if they have Bolt, we're dead. I don't believe that Hollow One runs any stock Bolts. There's the Phoenix. Fair and fun magic. Alright, Relic comes in. Nature's Claim comes in. Gonna take out some of the slower stuff. Tetjova, Primal Command, and a Walkie Bee. Wow, opponent didn't even try to sideboard. So this is a turn 3 Courser and nothing else. Alright, that's a little bit better. Don't need another land unless they Burning Inquiry and discard 3 lands. Okay, grab a basic. I don't believe they have Field of Ruin, but may as well not chance it. Wow, Hollow One isn't even on MTG's Goldfish meta page. Yep, they run no direct interaction. Alright, well if we draw something, we have mana. Opponent has no blood gas yet. But they are on the Hollow Ones. Alright, so gonna grab a Breeding Pool here. And more non-action. Alright, so let's do the math. We have 6, 7, 8, 9 mana, so can't sack off an Arbor Elf yet. I literally just said that the... Oh, I guess they have 4. Alright, that's fun. So we're on the table for 14, looking at 9. Potentially more on the table. Alright, well, just going to recycle Relic here. Lovely. Alright, and missing more land drops. So pick up the forest, ship it back. So they need to discard 5 cards or discard 2 and bolt us. They have a single card in hand. So we're alive for at least another turn. And there's the Tooth and Nail. Alright, so tap, untap. Entwine. We're going to get these guys. Put these 2 into play. Hasty Emrakul. And GG's. Alright, so being on the draw is going to be a little bit more awkward. Walking Ballista to get a Flameblade Adept is a little tempting, but we're going to have to run it out for 2 before it even matters. Chipping off Bloodghast seems funny. I'm really liking the idea of Tetjova. She just comes in cheap enough and lets us to draw into more action. If I'm going to cut anything, it's probably going to be the Nissa from our 5-drop slot. I guess Thragtusk is also an alright include, so we could possibly take out this Nissa. Nissa's bad, Thragdaddy's good. This has enough pieces, I'm happy with it. We're going to be able to put a turn 4 Teteva out. Probably not enough against Hollow One, but their deck loses to themselves a certain number of times, and that's our hope. Actually, I guess that's turn 3 with Arbor Elf. And we can gain some life. It's looking alright. This Emrakul is looking a little awkward, but it's a fine 6-card hand, so... And they brought in Fatal Pushes, alright. So taking our Growth Spiral here. Just can't do fun green things anymore. So, of note, this fetch land is actually representing a shuffle, as well as getting additional life against the Courser. Opponent discarded 1 Hollow One. So do I want a shock to put in Courser? I think I have to. I'm going to be looking at drawing out, so I'm going to need the fetch lands to filter. Then the reason that Courser's good is we can actually get pseudo card advantage by, quote, drawing a card off the top of our deck. Okay, so our hand didn't change. Our opponent got nothing. Let's see if they run out of Hollow One. I guess I got a Windswept Heath and drew us into a Utopia Sprawl. It's Menace. Why is that acting like I can block it? Alright, so... This is awkward. I guess I'm playing that. Always yield. Don't want to always yield to that. We're going to have to return the basic just so that we don't take a shock when we try to play Teteva, but that means that we're going to have to Utopia Sprawl a non-basic. And at this point, I just want green. And we are below 10, so of course there's going to have to block a Bloodghast if they have one. Next turn looks like it's going to be Teteva into the fetch land. Unless we have one on top of our deck. Alright, and I don't want that Simic Growth Chamber, but I'm probably going to have to leave this unfetched for now, just to make sure that they don't have any fun interaction. If they have a Bolt, I'm basically dead when I activate this, which I guess was a reason to do it when I was when they were tapped out. Oh, they drew a fish, that's fine. And there's Primal Command. So Primal Command is actually letting me know here why there's a Scavenging Ooze in the graveyard, in the sideboard. Alright, so we want to gain 7 life and make them draw a land. So we'll gain 7 life, they can draw the fast land. Actually, wait. I think I'd rather actually just gain a lot of life here. So I'm going to explore. This reads draw 2 cards because we're making an additional land drop. Alright, so going to explore again. 1 land drop. They don't have anything I care about here, so I'm going to go look for my other land drop. I do actually want my mana, so I'm going to try to go for the untapped one. We can draw the Tooth and Nail. That's 2 land drops. 3 land drops. And do I need this? So I believe I'm still going to draw this Explore. Yeah, I want to pay life. Then we can go green 1, explore. Make this land drop. We can bounce the island. Then we have 3 mana left over, so we can put down Relic and Arbor Elf. I think that's the best that we can do here. Do I want that Nature's Claim? No, I do not. Yes, I'll take the shock because that means I get to draw the Growth Spiral. Then we're getting green, so tap for blue, Growth Spiral. Let's put the Misty into play. Then we can crack this. Oh, no lands. Alright, that was a punt. Alright, well, I'm going to run out Arbor Elf as a chump blocker here and ship it back. And that was our deck basically green storming. Alright, well, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 mana. So I can discard Emrakul here. We're going to be entwining. That means I can discard Xenagos. These fetch lands that don't do anything, although they're just going to get shuffled back in, so that's probably not the best call. And then I need to discard 1 more, so I guess just a basic land. But that shuffles, so... and we get a Noble on top again. So opponent's digging for action. If they get a bolt here, that's going to be 3 damage. Yeah, I can still block effectively and not die, so... Also relevant, these Flame Wakes have to attack, so they're not going to be able to block. Alright, land for turn. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Tooth and Nail and Twine. GG's opponent. Alright, Hardened Scales was rough, but we just absolutely stole that from Hollow One. Alright, so thinking about that one, I'm just like, I could probably build Blue-Green Storm. Yova is very good, and if we're running this much ramp and this many explorers that are very synergistic with our game plan, I'm going to be doing something with her very shortly. Like, this hand is terrible, but it looks like it's everything I want it to be. I have land drops for turn 3. I'll have 5 lands in play and have 2 fresh redraws. Like, this hand's going to be completely emptied by turn 3, so I think I'm going to hang on to it. It's likely too slow to do anything super impactful, but especially if we're playing against spirits. On the plus side, though, Growth Spiral is instant. If they are really banking on the Spell Queller, then we'll show them. They might be able to take a Growth Spiral or an Explorer, but that's only going to stall us for a turn or two. Looking more like Merfolk. Yep, there's a Silvergill, revealing Reejery. Alright, and unfortunately, we have to get blue here. I mean, I guess I could take a Forest. No, I want the Breeding Pool. How does this work out? I think I want to explore to the Arbor Elf. I really want to get the Simic in, but I think exploring here is going to be higher value. Then I guess I can just go get another basic and Arbor Elf. So, of note, they can have Curse Catcher to grab one of our ramp spells, but I think we're ramping hard enough now that it won't matter. Funny enough, I can also use this to flank and take away their Island Walk. So, Reejery is one of those fun ones that whenever you cast a Merfolk, not necessarily Violet it in, but cast, you can tap or untap a permanent. So, it's possible for them to empty their hand the turn after they have an active Reejery. They can also start tapping down our stuff, but he also doesn't give Island Walk of note. We really need to see a payoff card here, though. Another Lord's coming in, so we're going to be taking 4. We're going to be on the table for 7, 10. So we have one more turn, assuming that we don't have to take any shocks. We're going to go for blue here. What I draw off of Growth Spiral is really going to dictate what I wish I would have done. So let's take a quick look. If I untap my land, make my land drop for turn. Sorry, I guess I should be looking at this. So if I untap my land, that's 2 mana, 3 mana, land for turn. So that'd be 5 if I shock something into play here, which means I would be able to Growth Spiral and have 4 mana. So that would mean Garruk or Courser. I think that's high enough upside. If they already have a Lord, I'm dead anyway, so let's go ahead and just take the shock. And there's Teyova. Alright. It's also probably correct to float mana before I put in Simic Growth Chamber. But I'll go ahead and take away my Island Walk. No, they're probably running Damping Sphere as well. Yeah, let's not show them that we have more expensive lands. And then that puts us on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. If I draw Tooth and Nail, we can still win. Assuming they don't have another Lord. They kept it on 2, though. That's not a great sign. And Spreading Seas on the Utopia Sprawl land. Alright, so it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Nope, that won't work. Oh, and they had the Mutavault. Yep, we're dead. Okay, so... Geez, I don't even know what I want. Negate doesn't seem very good. Nature's Claim would only grab Spreading Seas or Aether Vial. Spreading Seas will already replace itself and make Utopia Sprawl fall off. Tireless Tractor's good for grinding out, but they're going to put us under a decent amount of pressure, and most of it's going to be unblockable anyway. I think we might just be on the combo faster plan. I don't care about their graveyard. They could potentially be bringing in a number of counter spells, but Deprive doesn't feel like a good enough reason to bring in Dispel. Yeah, I think we're just shipping it back. Alright, well, we have Growth Spiral into Courser with the land drop the following turn. I think we just need to be on faster. I think we're looking for an Arbor Elf, which we didn't get. And this is just a bad version of our first hand. Hey, look, an Arbor Elf. It turned too late. Which, unfortunately, I think means we're just going to be playing off tempo. Yeah. He's the best thing that we could potentially be doing here. And they get their fast start again. I kind of just want to get my basic here. I'm going to be bouncing it anyway, so may as well take the least amount of damage possible. Of note, this is not an island, so at least for a short period of time, i.e. next turn, assuming we don't draw another land, they won't have Island Walk. If we see a Utopia Sprawl, that means that we'll end up having 5 mana next turn. And this is going to be a... I don't want to attack in here if they have Curse Catcher or the Mistbinder. Oh wow, I didn't even think about that. The Mistbinder is going to wreck our strategy if they have one. But we're going to be drawing a card. Pulling out 2 is a 4% increase of not getting a land, so I'm going to try to go for that. Alright. Things going south very fast. Alright, and getting worse faster. So they do have the Spreading Seas. I'm kind of just thinking I need to start running out my land drops here. If they make one of these Growth Chambers an island, it's going to feel super bad. But they're going to be able to do that anyway since we already had one out. This guy right here is part of the new Merfolk tech, and it means that if we put anything into play off of Tooth and Nail, then it's just going to get exiled instead, and that's going to take away our win condition, as well as everything that we're ramping up to. Guess that needs to be tapped for the correct color. And now they know we're Tooth and Nail. So if they have a Tide Caller, they're going to run it out. But next turn we can Tooth and Nail and go get creatures, and the following turn we can put them into play. See if that's enough. In the meantime, we're taking 8, so that won't be enough. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. So if they have anything else here, we're dead. Starting to remember why I didn't like playing green decks in Modern. Yeah, I can't shuffle. I'm going to draw the tooth and nail. I can only play lands. It's fine. Yep, so that was bad. And that's because they had targeted green creature hate. This is a guy that made our life a little miserable there. Enters the battlefield, target red or green creature doesn't untap as long as you control it. And pretty much our entire deck was green. Arbor Elf being able to cast one turn sooner would have meant that we won that game, but instead they just had a permanent frost on one of our creatures. Walking Ballista, dealing with all of our mana dorks was pretty painful. Every time I've been running a big, slow blue deck, I keep thinking I want the Miracle return all non-land permanents to its owner's hand. Interesting. So we have a turn 4 Thragdaddy. And opponent is on Eldrazi. So what our opponent did was they exiled their hand with Serum Powder to mulligan for free. We are on the draw, which means a turn 4 Thragdaddy would be able to block a Reality Smasher, but a turn 2 Thought-Knot could take our Thragdaddy. I have enough here to try to make it work. If we draw into an Explorer, this is actually a very good hand, and we have 8 of them. Opponent is Chalice deck, though. That is worth taking note of. Chalice with Void is going to mean that all of our Arbor Elves don't work. If they end up getting to Chalice on 2, then that's probably like... I guess it's only 8 cards. Chalice on 1 is going to take 10 of them, though. Then I just want a basic forest because I'm expecting to return it to hand or potentially draw a Utopia Sprawl. Yep, there's the Chalice on 1. Funny enough, our Primal Command is going to take care of that nicely. Oh, really? Cannot get a break. Alright, so currently have 3 mana. I think that means I'm just getting my beats on. Take 1. Go, Arbor Elf, go! And then Growth Chamber, pick up my forest. That means we play a forest for turn. We'll end up having 4 mana next turn. We're still 1 shy. Thought-Knot's going to be torn between... Wait, they're on Smuggler's Copter? Interesting. Okay, so if I'm at 4 mana, that means I want to go fetch. 2, 3, 4. Yep, and I'll get my beats on again. So Primal Command's looking a little bit better if we can follow it up with the Utopia Sprawl, which we won't be able to do this turn. Smuggler's Copter is their only clock right now. It's not going to do much. They did get rid of 1 Reality Smasher and 1 Thought-Knot Seer, so they are stuck on lands at the moment. I'm discarding Serum Powder. And Growth Spiral. So I think I'm on Thragdaddy, just gain a little bit of life back. Also have a clock, be able to protect myself if they have a Reality Smasher. Interesting move right there. I wonder what they were trying to cast. Well, our cube deck is doing cube things. It always feels good to cast Thragtusk. Only wish I had a Resto Angel. There's the Thought Knot. And they kind of have some choices here. Next turn we can follow it up with a Primal Command, or we'll end up being at 4, 5, 6, 7? No, that's not right. 2, 4, 5, 6. They took the Tooth and Nail. So they did recognize what we were doing. I actually think Eldrazi was what took Tooth and Nail out of the meta. If you just want to play big dumb creatures, Eldrazi did it better. Alright, so considerations for blocking this Eldrazi Mimic. If there's a Reality Smasher in our future, that means I want to block the Reality Smasher, but we know that they don't have a land in hand, and they're going to have Chalice on top of their deck at this point. Blocking the Thought Knot in their near future means that we're going to be drawing a card. And right now we're going to be going down to 13. That's not overly relevant considering how close we are to being able to do something very, very productive. So I think that means no block on Mimic for now. Then so this means I can Growth Spiral this turn as well, I think. So no, it doesn't. Primal Command, we will put non-creature on its owner's library. So since we're time walking, I'm a little inclined to gain life, but I think Tet'Yova is just going to be better long term. She'll help us draw into another Tooth and Nail, which we have the mana to cast, so search and non-creature. Goodbye, Chalice. We can go get our friendly Tet'Yova. There could be an argument for Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista would kill the Mimic, which means that they really wouldn't be able to attack with anything but the Copter, but that's fine. Then let's untap our Forest. And Utopia Sprawl. We're going to call blue on this one, so then that way we can Growth Spiral off the Arbor Elf. Thragdaddy staying on defense, and opponent might have another Thought Knot. If they take Tet'Yova, I'll be sad, but we're doing everything we can down here, so. Oh, they had to use a Spirit Guide to cast that Thought Knot Seer. Okay, we don't have another Thought Knot in our future. They just drew Chalice, and they're already running out of gas. Which means next turn we drop Tet'Yova, we make our land drop, we fetch, go make that draw 2, we'll play Ghost Spiral, make that draw 3, and we'll start storming off. That is the Eternal Scourge. They can recast it from exile, which is why they run the Serum Powder, so that they can exile it from their starting hand. So they're going to Corrupt Smuggler's Copter and attack in for 10, but we're going to be gaining a ton of life next turn. Oh, they're not going in with the Thought Knot. Alright, well in that case, Thragdaddy's going to block the Mimic this turn. This feels like a very passive play from opponent, and they discard the Chalice. I guess I could technically hit a land drop here. But we have a 3/3 token to block with, and we're just about to gain a ton of life, so... Oh, Explorer looks delicious, too. Alright. There's 5 mana. Hello, Tetyova. We're going to make a land drop. Well, there's Emrakul. Then we have Explorer and Growth Spiral. Unfortunately, you have to pay life here. Explorer doesn't force us to put a card in yet, so we can make our additional land drop. Okay, I absolutely love her with double Explore. Alright, and there's the win condition, which means she's on chump block duty. But in the meantime... thin out our deck, make some beautiful land drops. And opponent's going to be able to get in for 3 if they attack with everything. Ghost Quarter on the forest is cute. Makes me a little happy that I didn't run out this Utopia Sprawl. Also something to keep in mind for the future matches, showing us this is probably weakening their current stance. If this is a follow-up Thought-Knot, though... it feels like a misclick. This might be a shame scoop. If this was a Thought-Knot to take our Tooth and Nail, they would have had an opportunity to be in it, but we'd be drawing 2, so that doesn't feel great. I guess Ghost Quarter could hit Simic, although it's the same valuation as the Utopia Sprawl land. Funny enough, they probably could have kept that on defense and stayed alive. And we actually do have an island, so if they hit one of our lands, we're just going to gain life. Yeah, they're probably waiting for Tetyova to die, and then they're going to Ghost Quarter. Xenagos, and may as well grab a Courser. They already know about it. Then we'll put in Emrakul and Xenagos. Go to combat. You get double your attack power and toughness. And haste. That's a big spaghetti boy. So just to rewind for a second, that was actually a Mold of 5, leave an Arbor Elf on top, don't make a turn 1 play. That was very powerful for this deck. Opponent literally has to sack their board, and we're going to get a perfect kill. Sometimes fun things are fun. Alright, so Thragtusk feels like he should be making a resurgence here. This is really in here for the burn matchup, but being a 5/3 means that it's going to take out a decent-sized creature and leave a chump blocker behind, so it's probably good enough. Tireless Tracker feels slow. We are eventually going to combo off and kill them, like you just saw. They did stumble on lands a little bit, but getting a turn 3 drop doesn't feel strong enough here. Walking Ballista also feels pretty bad, so this is probably just going to replacing tutor target for tutor target. Again, worth keeping in mind that they have both A, Ghost Quarter, and B, Chalice on one. Opponent's taking their free mulligan, getting rid of a Matter Shaper. Wow, a Spirit Guide, a Thought Knot, and... Alright, well, our hand is fine. If they do start off with a turn 1 Chalice of the Void, it's going to feel super bad, but... Thought Knot's probably just going to take Courser, and that Garruk Garuk is going to be very good coverage for what we're doing. Might have been an argument to take out the Nobles. We haven't even seen them yet this game, but we're running 2 Noble Hierarchs. They probably could have been Birds of Paradise, but I did like the idea of Courser potentially being able to chip in with Exalted damage. Ratchet Bomb. Alright. Well, our deck is actually pretty threat diversified, so I don't think that they're going to have as much luck with that as they want there to be. Plus, we have a redundant Arbor Elf for if they do blow up the current one. Alright, here's the Thought Knot. We gotta take a look at our hand, probably taking Garruk. Potentially Primal Command? I don't know. This is going to tutor us a threat and have an additional effect. He's just going to start ramping us, and we clearly don't have a payoff yet. Apologize for that. Had to go on mute for a second. So they clearly don't think Arbor Elf is worth blowing up with the Ratchet Bomb. Ooh, boy. Alright, so we only have 3 mana right now. We can go up to 4, which means we can't use Primal Command to shuffle yet. But if we draw this Emrakul, we can always go grab Xenagos and actually just that half of Tooth and Nail for 7 mana. So I kind of like just running out Arbor Elf here in a tap land. Also, our opponent doesn't know we only have the 1 red source, so for the time being, I'm not going to reveal the Stomping Ground in case we do have to hardcast it. So Xenagos is +X/+X, where it's that creature's power. If we actually run out Xenagos here, Courser could attack in. Ooh, another one. Alright, that's bad. Well, we're going to be going up to 6 mana, and Emrakul costs 15. I'm 100% willing to make this trade. They're going to kill Courser first. If they have Dismember, that just means they take this game. But I need to draw an additional card here. Alright. Yep, you get this one. A little more inclined to take the Nature's Claim now that they've shown us Ratchet Bomb. They can really only take out the Arbor Elf Utopia Sprawl combo with that. Yeah, I don't think I care. Yeah, I think anything else is just boarding too hard. We're a faster combo deck, and we just had a little bit of a rough go of it there. So we have a turn 4 Tet'Yova. And we're on the play, which means a turn 4 Thought Knot Seer is kind of going to mess us up. We did have Primal Command as a backup. I'm willing to give this a shot. They're not going to kill us very fast with this build of Eldrazi. And Tetyanova is just going to drown them in card advantage. Well, they exiled Ghost Quarter to the Gemstone Cavern, so let's see if they've got another one. Yep, they do. Only they're on Chalice. Alright, well, we don't really do anything with Chalice yet, so that's cute. Matter Reshaper's fine. That's less fine, but we only have one more basic left in the deck. If we draw a land, we can Tetyanova or Primal Command. I was assuming we were getting Ghost Quartered, so whatever they don't do, we can do. Whatever they don't take, we can cast. I'm just realizing, though, that this deck, if they actually use a Thought-Knot Seer to exile our Emrakul or Xenagos, we would actually not be able to get the combo. Like, we could still jam one or the other, and we could go attrition them out, but it may have been correct to bring in the trackers here, because then that way we could at least draw and get a sizable threat if we do start hitting a standstill. And not respecting the Tetyanova. Well, before our opponent gets another shot, I'm going to run her out. We didn't top deck a land. That actually kind of turns off their Ghost Quarter. Wow, they had all four of them. Alright, well, we are on a 3-turn clock with what's currently here. I will go get my last forest. I will also gain a life and draw a card. So you basically just replace the Utopia Sprawl. I'm fine with that. And now I have 3 redraws. No Dismember's perfectly fine with me. Alright, so green, blue. I don't think I want to show the Nykthos yet. This deck might need Amulet. And there is still Chalice out, so I can't run this guy out. Explore means I can turn on another Explorer if I take the shock. That is 10 damage on the field, but okay, so what are we looking at? If they have Dismember, they're getting in for a good amount. If they have Reality Smasher, that means that I'm going to block 4 and take 11 and still survive. If they have Reality Smasher and I crack this land, we're dead. But I think we've been in that position before. I just didn't actually do the math on it yet. Then next turn I have 5, 6, 7 mana. Plus the land I play for turn. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I didn't think about that. Oh, well, it's not a Reality Smasher. So, currently 4, 8, 11. Can I risk not blocking. They only have one card in hand. They don't have another Blink Moth to buff this guy, so that's 4, 8, 11. I'm at 12. I think I can let this go. Alright, so we can pay 4, run out Garruk, untap, we'd still be at 7. We can Growth Spiral, Explore. This would be Primal Command with Growth Spiral, Explore. I can do 1 Growth Spiral before I would not have enough mana to Tooth and Nail, so I can try to draw into something good here. This is basically a double draw. Oh, but I can't take the shock. So I can Primal Command, I can Explore, put in Nykthos. Gain 7 would put me at 17. So this would be Explore, put in Nykthos, gain a life, draw a card. Gain 7 would put me back up to 11. Then I'm currently on the table for a decent amount, but I'd be able to run out chump blockers. I wouldn't have enough mana if I run out chump blockers, though. So I currently have... I can Primal Command and put in a chump blocker, and I'll survive for 1 more turn. Alternatively, Garruk and... yeah, Primal Command. So... target player gains 7 life, put target non-creature on top. We'll go up. You have to get rid of Chalice. And Noble will be on chump duty because I haven't seen you yet this game. You haven't done anything productive. Arbor Elf has been doing things. Then I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with no mana dork, so if I make it to next turn, I win. So they would need a Dismember and attack in for 3, 6, 10, 13. They need 2 Dismembers and a land. So I think we're good. If they're on double Thought Knot, that's unfortunate, but I think we might be able to get there. Oh, they need 3. Never mind, we're good. Funny enough, if they Ghost Quarter us twice, we would have to chump block with Tetyova to land Tooth and Nail next turn. Blinkmoth can block Emrakul. Legend rules the land, so they are trying to go deep. Oh, they only have a Chalice in hand. I knew that. Alright, so I block here and block here. I'm currently on the table for 7. They only have a Chalice in hand. Oh yeah, that actually hurts. Yep, nothing to get. So I have 5, 6, 7. I can 1/2 Tooth and Nail. If I try to Utopia Sprawl, they're just going to blow it up. I feel like I have all the pieces here. This has to be able to work. So how many lands have we gone through? We have a single forest in the graveyard. We have a stomping grounds, all 4 breeding pools. I think I was actually on Nykthos, and I ran out of land that can't fetch anything. So if that's the case, I think I just have to go for broke and start getting my devotion up so I can Nykthos next turn. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I might have to drop Nykthos here just to gain the 1 life to survive. No, I can run out of chump blocker. So Arbor Elf and the 3/3. Unfortunately, this means Dismember isn't out for them now. I seriously can't believe I don't have more fetchable lands than that. So that's 25. Yeah, that's 25 lands. I think I just have too many fetch lands, but they're so good with Tetyova. Alright, going for broke here. Nykthos doesn't even really do it anymore. I probably should have just ran it out last turn. But opponent's basically on a ghost quarter. Yeah, that's fine. I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. Now they don't blow it up in response to me activating that, so... And no chump blocker in the Blink Moth, so we should be good here. Wow, that was close. Alright. This matchup made me feel very bad about my land count. So that might be something to consider. I mean, we got there, we went the distance. I guess I couldn't have chump blocked because of the Annihilator. We took enough of their board state out. I guess Nissa also would have done a really good job. Just run into Nissa would have been an out. I wonder if opponents just being salty or... I don't know. They couldn't figure out what was going on. Alright, well that was a good game. That was actually a really good game. Thought-Knots picked apart our hand, and we were still able to go combo out. We were basically on chump block and manage the mana base. They're attacking our double lands. Like, that was a really good showing for what this deck can do. Right now, though, this is a blatant statement about how badly we got wrecked, and so is this. So that was Arcbound, or that was Hardened Scales Affinity, and why can I never remember the matches that I played? Yeah, I can never remember the matches that I played. We just got wrecked pretty handedly by them, though. Oh well. Yeah, it's been pretty good though. This deck's doing a lot of fun things. So Yova was the fun of. I didn't even do a tech on her, but she did work with all those explorers and getting the additional land draws. You're ramping into her, and then you're drawing multiple cards. Fetch lands meaning that every land that you put into play is a draw two. So the explorers and the growth spirals are essentially turning into draw threes as long as you're willing to pay a life, and you're also ramping in the meantime. We had that one turn that we just ramped off so hard. Like, I honestly felt like we were a storm deck. We just drew most of our deck out. Opponent was running the Gemstone Caverns. It's probably correct considering how expensive our deck is. Probably just have one or two of those in there. Oh, Merfolk. Yeah, we got wrecked by Merfolk. Gemstone Caverns, though, if we're on the draw, we can exile a card from our hand and have it come into play and tap for any color. That feels like it would really help our strategy. It can either fix our more awkward draws or just let us ramp up faster if opponent's on the play. This hand doesn't really do anything. I think I need more mana dorks in this deck. And this hand is kind of medium. Grook's coming down on turn 3, though, and we'll untap our Utopia Sprawl for 3 mana. Actually, potentially Utopia Sprawl and the Growth Chamber, so I'm good to see how this goes. This is showing to be a little bit awkward. Oh yeah, the deck that beat us was the Hardened Scales Affinity, and it was because they had the Damping Spheres. Alright, don't need the additional land. We already have 5 mana here, so hopefully we draw into an Arbor Elf. Wooded Foothills, meaning Ponza, Jund. Getting just a forest. Valakut. Alright, so I think Valakut's a little bit faster than us. So opponent's going to be getting their ramp on as well. We'll actually see who's faster. Like, at this point, I'm not sure. We were doing very well with our explorers. So, like, next turn we can run out the Windswept Heath, go get a basic, explore. Alright, so their deck is actually working around this Valakut. Whenever a mountain enters the battlefield under your control, if you control at least 5 of their mountains, you may have it deal 3 damage to any target. They run things like Primeval Titan to go tutor 2 lands, or Scapeshift to sacrifice 6 lands, get a Valakut, 5 mountains seeing each other enter, are 4 times 3. You end up doing 18 damage, I believe, off of that line. So first things first, Explorer lets us play an additional land at any point, so I'm going to do that first. I'm going to run out the Windswept here. And we can just make an additional land drop, so I think I'm actually on the Growth Chamber pick up the Windswept. Because we don't really need to do anything with that yet, and it's probably going to have to get another color. So next turn we can jam Garruk, untap, have 4 mana, 5. We can even run out Xenagos if we want to. It is very important, though, that you try not to drop below 18 against Valakut. If they get to their 6 lands, they can only hit for 18 damage. You have to get them to 7 otherwise. So that can buy you essentially a turn. And we might just actually be winning next turn, so we might be a little bit faster. So we don't have the additional land to play. We've already used Garruk, so I can just drop Xenagos here, but that's going to take us below 18. I think I'm just on Explore and see if I have another ramp spell. Alright. And we probably look like the craziest deck to them. Alright, so if they have Explore or Secure Tri-Builder, I don't think they can also cast Scape Shift. If they do, they have to actually get 2 lands. So Farseek won't cut it. I think we just stole it. So that's 6. We can just untap these 2 guys. That's 8. That's 10. Entwine. Going to use all the blue mana first in case for whatever reason I need to untap Arbor Elf. We're going to go get Emrakul and Courser. They can just safely assume Courser's in our deck. And we're going to drop these 2 bad boys in. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. Emrakul gets hasty and big. And perfect win. Flawless victory. So we're up a match. From what I saw there, we might be 2 turns faster than them. That's very good considering the fact that if we don't go below 18, that means we're very favored. I don't think Pulse Morass is right. Thragtusk probably isn't right. Bringing in Negate for Scape Shift. Opponent didn't show it to us, but Scape Shift is their primary win condition here. You can sacrifice any number of lands, go get that many, put them into the battlefield. Like I said, Valakut math at 6 is lethal at 18. Anything above is higher than that. I need to look into more details for that. I'm terrible with Valakut math. But Walking Ballista loses a lot of value. One of the things that they can run is Tribe. So this is Steve. If we had Walking Ballista to ping him off, you just go get a basic land in response. But the Sakura has Tribe Scout. You may put a land into play. This is more prevalent in Amulet builds, and our opponent looks like he's just on pure Valakut. Prime Evil Titan is how he plans to win this game most of the time. If he gets up to 6 mana, can cast Primeval Titan, go get 2 Valakuts or 2 Mountains, and just finish off the damage. I think this is probably correct. There might be an argument for Thragtusk, despite the fact I took him out, just because gaining 5 life can buy you an extra turn. And if they're trying to get to 6 and we can get to this on 5, it's probably going to keep us alive. But I'm alright with all this. Courser gains us life. Tetuyova gains us life. I think we're just going to have to run it as it is. We have Noble, Utopia, Sprawl, Growth Spiral, Tooth and Nail. I am loving everything here. I just wish that this were a Arbor Elf. Wow, opponent is mulliganing down. They must have very specific hate for us. They might be looking for the Damping Sphere. Alright, well, if they're on a little bit of an awkward draw here, we might just snag this. So, first things first, basic Forest, get our Noble out. Next turn is going to be probably Breeding Pool, Utopia, Sprawl, Explore? Growth Spiral, maybe? Oh, that's sad. What did Noble do to you? Alright, so we're going below 18. It's just our current position. It's going to get blue for us. And I think we're on Explore. I just want to hit more land drops, and we don't have one now, but this is going to be how we fish into one. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I should have read out Growth Spiral. We're not trying to do anything instant speed with this deck, and Explore will allow us to put a land into play off of Courser, so that was some missequencing. Farseek's just going to go get a Mountain, put it into play tapped. Alright, still no land, which means we are definitely running out Courser here. And we have another Courser on top. Alright. So opponents still can't Scape Shift kill us yet. Kalani Heart Expedition, whenever they make a land drop, they can put a quest counter on it. Oh boy, that's awkward. Alright, so float a green. We can run this out. Gonna have to bounce the breeding pool, despite the fact it's gonna cost us life. I think that means Utopia Sprawl's going on Forest again. We can Growth Spiral. Put, I guess, breeding pool into play. We need green for this. Oh, we can't play off the top of our deck. Derp to derp. Alright, explore. Play this breeding pool. And that's all of our land drops, so we won't be able to run out another one. But we get back up to 18, which means our opponent has to make 3 land drops and be able to get non-basics to kill us. So I think we're in a good spot. This is currently 5, 6, 7 mana, 8. Nissa's actually going to net us mana. We might be able to Tooth and Nail next turn. There's Steve-O Boy. Alright, so I'm pretty sure we can win here, so I'm just going to go for it. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we can always yield to that. Run out Nissa. I'd prefer to leave green up. Nissa Worldwaker makes her first appearance of the night. She can +1 to untap 4 forests. Of note, right now one of our forests is tapping for 3 mana, so she actually comes in and gains us a mana. Best mana dork ever. Then that's going to be 6, 7, 8, 9. Entwine Tooth and Nail. So it's probably correct here for my opponent to sacrifice the Kalani Heart Expedition so that they'll have 1 less thing to annihilate. But I think that only puts 1 permanent into play for them. Yep, and that's game. And we cashed out. Like, it's not great cash out, but we cashed out. I am very surprised by that. This deck, stamped with exceeds expectations. I might actually need to make a art for that. This deck exceeds expectations. Nissa netted us mana to get us our Tooth and Nail a turn sooner. The number of flawless victories that we had against opponents. I guess flawless might actually mean 20 life, but this was all self-inflicted. Like, we were going to attack in, and our opponent was going to lose everything but Steve. They could have technically fetched this land, gone out, fetched 2 more, they'd have 3 lands in play, but we just attacked in with a 30-30 Emrakul. That is insane. Exceeds expectations. Tetyova. Oh my gosh. I loved her. I tried playing with Heartless Summonings and Gitrog Monster and Tetyova and Sultai. Tried to do everything I could to get that to work. It did nothing, but 8 Explorers with Tetyova is bananas. Like, being able to have Tetyova out, make your land drop, draw a card. Tap 2 mana, put in a fetch land. Draw a card. Crack the fetch land. Draw a card. Meanwhile, you've net 2 mana, or 2. You've netted 2 life and drawn 3 cards off of a single fetch land. Was just busted. I'm gonna have to play with that because this was just busted. Utopia Sprawl, Arbor Elf, great. We have expensive things, like I said. Gemstone Caverns, probably a requirement for this deck. Garruk, he did things. He's 4 mana. He's good in cube. We didn't really get to abuse Nykthos at all. So Nykthos would be... I know sometimes I mention cards and don't exactly go over them, but... Nykthos? If I could clear this stuff. Nykthos? There we go. Shrine to Nyx. Did I switch it over? I did not. Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. 2 mana, choose a color, add mana equal to your mana color devotion, whatever. You pay 2 mana, then you go and you count up the mana symbols that are currently on the battlefield. So right now this would have been 2 from Courser, 2 from Nissa, So 5, 6 off of the 2 Utopia Sprawls, we'd pay 2 mana and get 6 mana back. So the 1 land and 2 mana. And then you can untap it with the Garuk and basically do it over again. You've just gotten 12 mana off of 6. It can do some pretty good things, but because a lot of our ramp spells here are spell-based, it feels like it loses a decent amount of value. I don't know if Nykthos is correct. I do like the idea of being able to pitch that extra Tooth and Nail if we have 2 of them on the draw to just get an additional ramp spell, potentially play Explore on turn 1 on your turn. That feels busted. Tooth and Nail feels like a decent win condition. We just showed Valakut exactly what was up. I guess they had no cards in hand, and we ramped out faster than them, had bigger things than them, drew more cards than them. I guess they were on the mull to 4, but game 1 was still pretty decisive. Xenagos and Emrakul are both fantastic. The feels goods of a 30/30 flying annihilator can't be the target of spells or abilities that are colored. Just great. Also limited mill protection, not negligible, especially when you saw how many we were drawing against. I forgot the deck that we stormed off super hard in. We ended up drawing like 30 cards in one turn, and we just kept making our land drops back to back to back. There might be an argument for some kind of split cast or dual cast. I don't think it's great in Modern. I know that there's twin cast. I think that's Modern legal. Yeah, blue, copy target instant or sorcery spell. There are better targets for twin cast, but I mean, if we could potentially get more explorers, we could do some very busted things with this. Again, stamped with exceeds expectations. I cannot believe we cashed out with this. I thought that this was going to be a hot mess, and I just wanted to play with Explore. Nissa, Steward of Elements, we never really saw her. We did zero her once. We saw a bounce land, and that was a little awkward, but we were unable to untap it with Garuk and make our play. Like, a lot of weird synergies for lands matter here. We are a very big green deck. Eldrazi are probably going to be at the top of that. If we try to actually do our math here, we are doing 9 mana for Tooth and Nail. We could almost be in Tron categories there, but we rely on mana dorks. Tron's probably going to do that better than us. Yeah, exceeds expectations though. Like, we were able to run colored spells. Like, if we had any interaction on the bottom end, it'd probably slow down our game plan, but we're currently only running the 6 mana dorks and 4 Utopia Sprawls. I like it. There's something here. Again, I'm probably going to be playing with this in the future, just the Explorers with Tetyova. Like, go a little bit higher in Tetyova, maybe trim some of the Tooth and Nail stuff and just go for a grindy attrition thing. Tracker seemed like it'd be really good in the main board. He was there in the sideboard, making multiple land drops off of Explorer Tracker out. Probably is just going to drain control beyond anything they could imagine. There might be a home for Search for His Content in this deck. We have a lot of ways to untap lands. Well, I guess only the Planeswalkers and only Gru can hit his Conta, but I am still talking about this deck because I cannot believe how well it did. All right, well, I mean, you guys saw it all. We cashed out. We did lose to some of the faster combo decks. Merfolk was a beating. Things to consider. Thought Knot Seer can exile our win conditions. Tidebinder can exile and stop Tooth and Nail from happening, which means that you have to be a little bit more conservative with how you go about it. The nice thing is with the Mistcaller, let's see if I still have it pulled up anywhere. Yep, okay. So, Mistcaller, until the end of turn, if a non-token creature would enter the battlefield. So, what would happen with the Tooth and Nail is you would cast it and it would force the sacrifice for Mistcaller. You would have already chosen your modes, but if you entwined it, you could just go get the creatures and then opt into not putting them into play. It says up to 2 creatures. So you'd get rid of the Mistcaller and you'd have to cast it again, or you'd have to hard cast the creatures. If you're entwining Tooth and Nail, you're probably pretty close and have seen more than one Tooth and Nail. But yeah, maybe an alternate win condition somewhere in here. I can't imagine Banefire along the lines is too far out of reach of this. Oh, I want to play this with Pyromancer's Ascension. That sounds like a thing. Oh, well, I'm talking about other things I want to do because of how well this went over. Endorse the deck. Exceeds expectations. Somewhere to go. I don't believe it's Tooth and Nail. Tooth and Nail is a little antiquated in what it's doing. It is an older strategy. I felt like Eldrazi did things bigger and better than us, despite the fact that we won. It was a really good game. And yeah, yay lands. Well, everyone, thanks for watching and have a good one.